Hello and welcome to New Day Calumet City with our Mayor, Thaddeus Jones. I'm your host, Deanne Jaffrey. So today, I'm honored that the visionary for this programming and our executive producer is here to talk about the progress that our beloved city is experiencing. Please join me in welcoming our Mayor, Thaddeus Jones. Welcome, Mr. Mayor, to New Day Calumet City.
Thank you for having me back again. I think we executive producing this show together, so it's a great team. Thank you.
Absolutely. So if we can dive right in here, Mr. Mayor, can you speak to some of the major items within this budget and what benefits should Calumet City residents anticipate with the passage of it?
Great question. This budget, unlike previous budgets, is a balanced budget. Last year, Calumet City's total budget was $36 million. This year's budget, we increased it to $49 million. And that was part to being aggressive with grants, being aggressive with reducing overtime dollars, aggressive with reducing expenses, and just looking at a way that we can make Calumet City budget appeal and be better for our residents, which included, I put in the budget for the first time after school program money. We put money in the budget for mentoring program. We put money in the budget for back to school programs. We put money in the budget for beautifying Calumet City. We put money in the budget for hiring more police officers and firemen. We put money in the budget for business retention grant. We also put money in the budget for our library with a Google grant so we can have technology. We put money in the budget and included a new IT department. Calumet City in some areas still uses typewriters. So we want to bring not only technology to Calumet City, we want to add a way where we're communicating with our residents, and that started with improving our technology. So we have a new IT department that looks at keeping our city safe and protected, emails, all of the data that we collect from residents, making sure that that's safe. So we're going to start doing safety awareness training with our residents and our public officials to make sure that Calumet City is at the forefront with technology. We are going to build a new city hall, and we're going to make that city hall one of the most technically advanced city halls where residents can go in, under my vision, to have kiosks where they can go in and pay for some of the services that you're paying for online now at our kiosks. So we're probably 5 or 6 months away from that. But we also, as I stated, we included money for diversity training for our police officers. We increased the budget of our Police and Fire Commission because we want to do more hiring of policemen and firemen. And that all starts with our Police and Fire Commission. And we also put more money in our budget for media, going after our black media, making sure that the media understands what we're doing in Calumet City, and also promoting Calumet City. And we also put money in our budget to hire a senior coordinator. We put money in our budget to hire a chaplain. We put money in our budget to hire 2 Hispanic coordinators. We also put money in our budget to diversify and train our staff. And we know a well-trained and better staff is going to help improve the communications with our residents. So we put money in our budget also for a liquor commissioner secretary, a social media person that's going to help guide what we're doing technology-wise with our residents. So we included all those items in the budget. And hopefully we're going to start explaining to the residents that process. So we go through this process every year. And this budget is good until April 30th of 2022.
Correct.
Yes.
You mentioned public safety. The issue of public safety obviously was your first priority in developing this budget. What are some of the short and long-term goals you're seeking to accomplish with both the police and fire departments, and how much of an increase within the rank and file will be achieved through those goals?
And that's a great question. You know, we have a diversified police force. We are starting to bring in more African Americans, and through the Police and Fire Commission, we want to make sure that we're getting a better pool of candidates that want to come and test in Calumet City. So part of me increasing the police and fire budget was to do more testing, to improve the people who are on our list that want to be police officers and firemen in Calumet City. When I came into office, our police morale was down. The past administration had basically taken the morale and dropped it to an all-time low. one of the first things I did was appoint African American assistant chief, and we appointed our police chief, Chief Kolash, and my direct demand to him was, let's get out and reconnect with our residents. Let's make sure our officers are getting diversity trained, but let's make sure that our residents understand what we're here for. We started foot patrols in Calumet City. We started bike patrols, which is going to come next year. We also started making sure that our officers understood going door to door to businesses, that they went door to door to residents, that we incorporate them going door to door and talking to our seniors. So before there's an issue, we want you to connect with our community and connect with the police officers so you get to understand their daily lives and what they do to protect you, the residents in our community. And we've made some headway into crime. We made some headway into our police doing more, but we need our residents getting involved. We've established a block club program, and that's ongoing now. We know that our police department needs to be protected. We have concerns about them as well. So you're going to see more from our police department on the street, knocking on doors. Some of the areas that we're concentrating on is Sibley Boulevard, 159th Street. But make no mistake about it, we're not going to leave no stone unturned when it comes to our officers being all over Calumet City and patrolling.
Indeed. Thank you. You've made no secret about the issues of the past involving inspectional services, Mr. Mayor. What are some of the changes in which you've implemented, and how is it addressed within the recent budget passage?
So yeah, some of the changes in inspection services, that's some of the backbone of what residents deal with. When you want a fence permit, you go to inspection services. When you want to remodel your house, you go to inspection services. When you want to open a new business, you go to inspection services. So that is a starting point, and probably 80% of what we do in our city government. So some of the changes I made in inspection services are clear cut to make sure we have an advantage in Calumet City. We had almost 1,800 abandoned and foreclosed homes in Calumet City. So we implemented ProChamps, which is going to not only make sure that our abandoned homes and foreclosed homes are registered, but we have a track of those homes so we can put them back on the market, get them repaired, using some of our unemployed residents in Calumet City, using some of our labor forces in Calumet City to go and repair those homes and get them back on the market. So we can have and establish a first-time buyers program to get those homes on the market. But also looking at the commercial property as well. There's a lot of, not a lot, but there's probably 10% of commercial property which was abandoned, and we're starting to build and put businesses in those properties. But we have to make sure that those properties are registered and they're following the law and they're following the procedures that we're establishing in Public Works. We're also looking at having our inspectors better trained and certified, making sure that when you have an inspector come out to your house, they understand the BOCA code and they're explaining the residents the BOCA code. And part of that process too is making sure that our landlords start not only doing background checks on people coming into Calumet City, but working with our city government to make sure that residents understand when they come to Calumet City, we want you to be a whole resident in Calumet City where you understand our ordinances. If you have questions about our ordinances, inspection services should be able to answer those questions. Yeah. So we're doing a whole remake. We still have our director who was part of public inspection services, but we're also looking to change the name from inspection services to the building department, just so we add a new face to what we're doing in Calumet City.
Absolutely.
And residents will be surprised that some of the records in Public Works date back 100 years ago. And you'll also be surprised that we're still using some typewriters in Calumet City. So our goal is to change that and make sure that your records are all computerized, that you can go back years from now and look at those records. But we have files now of just paperwork that we need to change the way we do business in Calumet City. And we are. So that's the exciting part of inspection services because they deal directly with the residents with some of the key issues that residents want.
Yes, and inspectional services, no doubt, carries quite the load. And as we worked to open up the communications and the support internally here within the city for an efficient but also effective process, you know, what we're also doing, Mr. Mayor, as you know, is trying to bridge that gap between City Hall, the departments, inspectional services included, and the businesses that really are out there working to better Calumet City. And so part of that, and residents, you'll be hearing more about this, but we have implemented a program called Boots on the Ground. We're very excited. So again, we are working hard and looking to connect, open up those lines of communication, full transparency between the city and these businesses. So please keep an eye out for that.
That's a great point, because what we also want to do when we build our new city hall, we want to bring all of our departments together. We want to stop residents going from city hall to inspection services, to pay the water bill, to pay their fence permit, and then have to run back and forth between buildings. So our new city hall is going to be equipped where we have all of our departments under one roof. So it makes it convenient for residents, and it makes it not only easier, but also so you can come to City Hall, learn about each department that we have in City Hall, but put everyone under one roof, just so we're all communicating the same message to residents. And that's going to take us a long way, because it'll stop residents again from going from department to department. And as the winter months start approaching, we want to make sure that you're not running from City Hall to inspectional services, but you're in one building, one location, and we're making things easier for our residents.
Absolutely. We touched on this in our very first episode of New Day Calumet City, but you've campaigned on the promise for a greater diversity within the government of Calumet City. Can you talk about the changes in which we as a city have implemented since day one, but also the emphasis that you intend to institute throughout the city for all?
Yeah, and that, you know, diversity is key. It's diversifying our force, but also making sure that our department understands what diversity means. We don't want to just throw out taglines and say we're going to diversify our force, and what does that mean? So it means a better trained workforce. A workforce that has diversity training, where you understand the different races in Calumet City. You know, back when Calumet City was 80% white and 10% black, we didn't have these programs. And now that we're in a new generation, we're in a new day, we have to understand that everyone has to get along. And to that end, we have to make sure that everyone understands the cultural differences that we have in Calumet City. So that means that we're going to send people for training. We're going to send our officers to get trained on diversity programs. And we're also going to have diversity dinners where residents are getting to know the police officers and each other better. And as it relates to our departments, when I came in, we wanted to make sure that we hired people of good character, that we put in our budget for a Hispanic coordinator so we can reach out to our Hispanic community. It also means that we send things out like our budget, that we're being sensitive and not only just sending our budget messages out in English only. So we're sending our budget message out in Spanish. We're also connecting with other parts of our community. We've hired the first Asian American chief of staff in U to make sure that we help diversify our ranks. We've hired people on our Police and Fire Commission. We have the first Latina Police and Fire Commissioner. We have our first black male, 2 males who are on our Police and Fire Commission. So looking at diversifying our force, but also how that extends to our police and fire as well. And that means that we're getting a better pool of candidates to choose from. And then we have to take it a step further and look at how we want to interview not only our candidates, but also when we bring them into Calumet City, we train them, we let them understand what we're doing in Calumet City, my vision, and how the residents want Calumet City diversified, so we're moving forward.
Yes, and that diversity training will be instituted for not just the police department, but city staff as a whole within all departments, to bring, to bring everyone together. And residents, what you can look forward to in episodes to come, We will have department heads joining us on New Day Calumet City, so you'll have an opportunity to sit down and hear from our police chief, our fire chief, the director of inspectional services, all of the department heads, individuals that assist us in the day-to-day operations and helping run the city of Calumet City.
Yeah, but they won't be as exciting as me. So, you know, we're going to bring those department heads on to let you hear about their background, their diverse background as well, and how they add to Calumet City. And many of the people that Deanne just mentioned, our police chief, inspection services, they've been in Calumet City all their lives and dedicated their lives and careers to Calumet City, but now they've been elevated to roles that's going to allow them to show their talent as well. And I failed to mention that when I talk about diversity, I'm not just talking about it. I was a chairman of the Human Relations Commission at Thornton Township, and we had diversity dinners to bring people together and how you can integrate, you know, not only what you're doing diversity-wise, but also how that adds value to the whole person in Calumet City. Our police chief is such an excellent police chief that he understands the background, what it takes to build Calumet City. Our inspection services director not only grew up, but raised her kids in Calumet City to make them become elected officials and part of our community. So as we start building our community and understanding what we need in Calumet City, we also have employment opportunities. So if residents are interested in working for Calumet City, we're building a new website, but we want you to be a part of Calumet City. And I can tell you this, what we're looking for is someone that's dedicated to Calumet City, that loves Calumet City, but also has a background and can speak to that background. So no matter if you have you know, associate's degree, you have a law degree, you have a high school diploma, don't be afraid to apply to Calumet City, because we're opening up Calumet City government to make sure that first and foremost, we want to get Calumet City residents. So as we're bringing in new businesses, you mentioned about the economic opportunities that we have. Every business that comes into Calumet City, we want them to first consider hiring our residents. So if you're going to come to Calumet City and you have 80 open positions, let's make sure the majority of those are opened up to Calumet City residents. We have some exciting businesses coming to Calumet City, and I'm going to make sure that we go out and get businesses that residents want in Calumet City, but they have to understand that we want you to hire and look at Calumet City residents. If you're not hiring them, at least give them an interview and see the talent that we have in Calumet City, which is going to open up doors for our residents.
Yes. And as far as applying for opportunities here that are currently open and available with the city, you know, we certainly have applications available here at City Hall. You would like to request the application via email, you are certainly more than welcome to email me at djaffrey, that's DJAFFREY, at calumetscity.org. I will email a blank application to you. You can also send your resumes.
And residents, you just saw, she showed off. She gave you guys her information, and I didn't give you my information. So you can also email me at mayorjones@calumetscity.org. That's mayorjones@calumetscity.org. Or you can call 708-891-8106. But as Deanne stated, we are walking the community. I failed to mention that we're requiring our public works employees, we're requiring that our police department go out and knock doors and talk to residents and give personal information, email addresses. And residents will be surprised that probably 2 years ago, or when we got here, our employees had no email addresses. So we've changed that to make sure that all of our employees are going to have email addresses, so you can stay in contact with them, stay in contact with us, but also stay in contact when you have an issue that you want to get resolved. We've been resolving many issues from the past, and I will encourage residents, if you have an issue that is unresolved from 3 or 4 years ago, or even longer, don't let that stop you from connecting to our administration. I've heard from residents who have issues from 6 years ago that have never been resolved. that's not a government that's working for you. We are a government that's working for you because we're resolving issues. So if you have something that's been outstanding for 6 years, call us. Deanne just gave you her email address. I just gave you my email address and personal cell phone number, personal number. So contact us. Don't be afraid to contact us. This is your city government.
And all of our information, contact information, including departmental, is available on the city website, calumetscity.org. So if you weren't able to catch the information, please don't hesitate to go to our website. Phone numbers, email addresses, all the contact information can be found there as well. But again, thank you for tuning in to A New Day Calumet City with Mayor Thaddeus Jones. I've been your host, Deanne Jaffrey. Please be sure to share the New Day with Calumet City with your neighbors and friends. We can be viewed here on Channel 4. And
I encourage residents, grab a coffee, grab some water, tune in to City Hall Council meetings, which are the second and fourth Thursday. Tune in to this, because we're trying to not only not trying, but we will open the doors up of communications. Whether you come to us or not, we're going to come to you, because this is your city government. And don't be surprised when you see me knocking at your door, or you see a city employee knocking at your door, asking you, how can we help you? Because this is your community. We want you a part of Calumet City. We want your family a part of Calumet City. And we want you to see the vision that we have for bringing our community into the 21st century and allowing businesses to come. But we need your help. We need you to get involved, tune in, and listen to what we have to offer and communicate to residents. So thank you for tuning in. Grab 10 more people next week and have them tune in to this exciting broadcast. And we're going to make sure that we bring you all of our department heads so you can see who's serving you in Calumet City.
Yes. And eventually we'll be bringing in perhaps residents and even business owners to speak about that. So thank you all very much. Until next time.